Well, the main opposition party, People's Democratic Party, PDP, is set to overhaul a South-South zonal and state structures in a sweeping move aimed at flushing out disloyal members and forestalling further defections. Reports say members of the party's National Working Committee are planning to restructure the party as part of renewed efforts to reposition it ahead of the 2027 general elections. The main opposition party, according to the report, is displeased with the spate of defections in recent weeks and ready to take firm action. The defections are believed to have damaged the party's internal structure because most of the leaders that have so far defected have their loyalists occupying key positions at state and zonal levels. The overhaul of the South-South leadership is to ensure only committed members remain in charge. Well, Dr. Amadi is here to look at these issues we just raised. Let's start from the last one. Overhauling of the South-South is expected, don't you think so? Because you can't be outside the party and have your loyalists in the party. It will be like the fish at home telling the fish outside what is happening.
Well, the politics, they say, is the art of the possible. So it looks like Nigerian politicians are giving us fresh definitions, fresh contexts, and deepening or shadowing or hollowing out the meaning of democracy. So you have, for the first time in political history, I think, a clear case where a leader of the party, if not the leader in terms of influence, is actually working against the party and still central to the party. This has never happened before. Let's be fair, it's not going to work against the party eternity. He says he wants to destroy the party for 2027. That's the only way to understand Governor Wike's position. This party should be hobbled, destroyed, so that it doesn't contest presidential election. It can run for other small games, okay? And that's self-serving, because he's serving the president who is planning to continue. He continues, probably he will be able to get a party. So restructuring this party is euphemism for saying, and we hope that probably want to flush out some persons. Now, the problem has always not been whether this push ought to be flushed out, whether they can do it. So they can do it. And the party has been compromised for over 10 years, since 2015. It was compromised because the leaders were not stoic in defeat to say, starting from the president who lost the election, President Jonathan, my Oga, a very good man, but maybe if I was in a position, I would have been gung-ho, stayed back, helped the party, but he has his reasons. So, starting from him, nobody was stoic to take this party. Everybody wanted to. In 2015, 2019, everybody wanted to be president. They left to APC, including Atiku Abubakar, including Tambuwa. They came back. So at this moment, you can be angry with Wike. At the same time, you sit back and say, what's going on here? These guys have been brutally unprincipled. Nobody cared about the party. Everybody wanted where to run for presidency. And then when you don't get it, come back. So now, if those who are driving this really care, they would say, okay, you know what? There are certain cardinal sins. The first cardinal sin, it cannot be in a party and openly, unabashedly said, this party will not succeed. So that person should go out. But do they have the logic, the clarity of mind, the moral rectitude to say, I don't care if I am rich or poor, but this principle, just like Lamido, give it to him, hate him, like him, I think he has moral clarity. He says, I cannot be in a meeting if this guy is in that meeting. Like what
Ini Mamobong in Cross River did.
Okay,
Akwa Ibom, sorry, Omoeno resigned and he said, Commissioner of Special Duties, I'm not going with you based on my principles. But let's look at the defections. Just recently, Kaze again from PDP. Now, this seems to be coming from local. He says they're being attacked. But then again, you also have Wadada
from SDP.
He has not said where he's going to, but he has also resigned. What do you think is, because he gave a reason. He said, I can't stay in the same party with El Rufai. Maybe El Rufai could say something about him too,
sure.
But does that constitute enough reason for you to leave your party? Why this scale of defections?
I think maybe Nigerians will not like what I say. Look, I think we should not become paranoid around defection. Like there are now laws to say, okay, can't defect, no. If you look at the US, people, in my view, there should be no constitutional or legal reputation to defection. The problem is that defection is rarely done because the parties are robust, politics is sensible. I mean, in Nigeria, especially this era. Now think about it. We've had more defections in the last 1 year, in the last 6 months, than in the whole history of Nigerian politics, which is now over half a decade. Because we've now had an epidemic of unprincipled, selfish, opportunistic, normless politics. We never had it this way. I don't care whether you're obedient or abundant or whatever, or articulate or Tinubu. This is the worst period in our history of normless politics. Politics is not governed by any norm, not regulated. So what you are seeing is an epidemic. It's not cured by saying don't deflect. There's actually reasons, like what Wada said, for example, if it's really serious and there's really mortal difference between you and Aerofire camp, whatever it is, you are permitted to say, you know what, the ideology of this party no longer represent what I stand for. We see that in the US. But it happens once in a while. You can see it's orchestrated. You can see that this guy has been disagreeing with the party for maybe 6 months, 1 year. He comes to a tipping point where he can no longer associate himself. For example, maybe you represent a fundamentalist Christian or Islamic position. Your party represents a fundamentalist secularist position. You are a green environmentalist. Your party is now for drilling. Okay? So, irreconcilable. You opt out. So what's happening here? Nobody has cited, apart from Wada, who perhaps makes a show of this, but nobody has said, I'm leaving because my PDP or my APC or my Labour Party has now abandoned their policy platform. So it speaks to a more dangerous, invidious, and underlying illness of our politics. It's not about, oh, let's make a law. You don't defect. No. Defection should be natural. People should feel happy because it's a right to associate with each other. So if you're in a political camp and you don't feel like being there anymore, you go to where you like. The problem is that what is driving this now is some electoral fatalism that we can't win because some people have hijacked the electoral system. And so people are now moving. For example, I said, there's no reason why Governor of Akwa Ibom, who is in a safe seat, if a seat is safe, PDP governorship in a place like Akwa Ibom is called safe seat. And he says, I have to leave, otherwise I'm not going to be here. I don't want to get out of here. So it's not principled. It's fear that either because Akpabio is not the third person, Akpabio have said it, that my state must be in the pocket where I am, which is APC. So he's afraid. That's not the reason why people would have defected. So what we are seeing is anomalous. We don't cure it through legislative interventions. Nobody should defect. We cure it by looking back and say, why is it that people are afraid of even holding their seat when they are doing well? Arguably, is doing well, governing well. So he shouldn't be afraid.
And then, of course, Akwa Ibom has been a PDP party for 26 good years.
And nothing has happened to change that dynamics.
So let me ask you two questions from what you raised, because the issue, the bottom line of these discussions is to create a pathway for things to normalize.
Yeah.
So two questions. What danger does this constitute to Nigeria's democracy? That's one. Mm-hmm. And then two, what should the country be doing? Because you said, so what should the country be doing to stem this tide or style of politics that the nation is witnessing over the past 6 months?
Two good questions. The first is, what is the consequence to democracy? First, we're going to have a democracy without a party formation. The heart of democracy is party. The party is not just to start an election. People say it's a vehicle. They now say, to justify themselves, say it's a vehicle. No. A party is the aggregator of opinion, number one. A party is a platform where citizens come together in order to avoid irreconcilable conflicts. So if you have 100 people demanding 100 things, but we have two parties, they come together, socialize, and create a coherent demand, so contestation. So we vote. So each time we are voting for party A, it means that we are accepting the aggregate of that position regarding the state. So if we don't have good party, what's going on is going to destroy the party system. So what the party does is mobilization, in stabilizing politics, in conflict prevention, will be lost. The second thing is that you will now have a reign of indeterminacy. So voters don't even know what they're voting for. So Mr. A flips to B and C and back and that. What's the way out? I think the first way out is this. If in 2027 you have a credible electoral system, where people are not happy fail election, and they stand so, and the court does not become a handmaiden of corrupt politicians and corrupt electoral officials. I hold the court responsible because the court should be the most, it should be the shining star in all this. If that happens, after 27, you can't leave your party. If people are angry, they go against you. So what can control this is let's get free and fair election. Then people now know that actually there's nothing to fear. You only fear electorates. You only fear you don't perform. You sit back and build your party.
And they have the power. It should
exactly.
be, democracy is a government of the people, by the people.
It shouldn't be that I'm OT in Abia, and because Ben Kano, for example, is top layer in the federal government. Therefore, if I don't go, they will make APC, Abia APC. It shouldn't because I am Tinubu, for example. Assuming APC, PDP was leading Lagos, they shouldn't bother about Tinubu.
Okay, now you have mentioned Tinubu, just very briefly. Yeah. Your sins are forgiven. He's a father, he is my leader. There's no rift. What do you have to say about that?
Well, politics, everything is possible, as long as it's not illegal. So Tinubu has a right, if people make him a god, he has a right to play like a god. No problem. He says, this guy, he says, I forgive him. He has the right to say that. The question is, why should people go to the president to seek absolution from their sin? That's the problem. So the president sitting like a king, and people are coming, I'm not happy with you, and you come and say, oh, God, sorry, sir. It's not Tinubu's fault. It's that first, it's powerful. Second is that politicians are not Lilliputians in caliber. By the way, Tinubu was governor. He fell out with Obasanjo, had, like endgame conflict. He didn't go back to sneak by mid-door and say, so Tinubu, his son, goes to him and says, you have to forget. That's fair. Now, what about people at APC, PDP, governors who leave their states and they say they're doing salary visit to the president? I mean, we have reduced governance to a mockery. Why? Because people don't have confidence in themselves first. Everybody feels, look, why should the president bother about a governor coming to be nice with him? You're a governor with a mandate. Right. You are for a different party. So it shows the fact that really we're not serious about the responsibility of leadership.
Maybe one could add also the danger of godfatherism.
Well, that's what it is.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amadi, there, for allowing us to speak your brains on News Night.
Thank you.